I both like and am slightly rustled by how this is going. Not as the chapter as a whole, but one specific moment. So, actually, two things. Two things made me happy. So, as it were, now the chapter begins with, now Gray having tied up members of the Thunder God Legion, him and Juvia are hanging out, and then Cana shows up, drinking and just, having herself a Cana loving time. We all know how Cana is. Since her debut in the series, she's been having her fun way with the drink. We know how she is. But Gray decides he's gonna go, just put her down really quick, and that'll be it. But when he goes to strike, he misses. Cana just pretty much falls back, bending all the way over backwards, drinking. And so the thing about this, I'm wondering, and I think this is legit fair, is she was drinking buddies, and probably still is. It was noted at one point in the series that she's drinking buddies with Bacchus, and whereas Bacchus, he's also like a drunk dude, but he, has a drunk martial art, and I think it's very, very easy to be like, oh yeah, she also now has that same skill. She's probably gained it from hanging out with him, probably more than just hanging out, but at some point gaining that, drunken spellcaster now style to her. She's not a martial artist, but after she bends over, she charges up Fairy Glitter, getting ready to drop it on Gray. And with Gray, I don't think it would really do much damage to Gray. I think it would really just kind of, he'd be more, he was more worried about the people in around them in the middle of the town. So I could see it being maybe somewhat to Gray. He could probably freeze it, to be perfectly honest. He could probably be able to freeze it. It's light, but he's already frozen lightning and air, so I don't imagine, and fire, so I don't imagine light is out of his reach. But in the middle of casting it, she gets surrounded by a bunch of wool, and it's revealed, Lucy's shown up. She's in her Ares star dress, and she's saying, the fluffiness of Ares' wool, is its key point, and it helps fight people who are casters. And the thing about it, which we already know and we've seen in action, it has this super softness that it completely dissolves your fighting capability. So if you're somebody who's casting a spell and suddenly you just have this wave of comfort, relaxation wash over you, you're gonna forget what you're casting and just stop in the middle of it, probably not really know what's going on. And again, it makes sense to me. It makes sense for what's going on with Lucy knowing this, because her whole thing is she's smart. She knows how to lay out a situation, and she was able to do it. And not only that, she was able to find Cana because she used Blue, and then she was able to use this amazing nose to smell her out and find out where she is. You probably just look for that chick who smells like alcohol. Really, that's about the easiest way to find her. And as I predicted, I was happy about this because what was it? I think chapter 39 or 4. I predicted that the reason that Lucy was looking for Cana was to get her ability for her cards in order to deal with the whole fact that you get all these people running around and being controlled by the White Witch. Oh, she can use the cards to trap them. And that was what she was using, which made me very happy. She wasn't going to star dress into her, go Gemini and then, pretty much take her form. I don't know why she just didn't do that. Maybe she's like, oh, well, Cana has a larger, because we know that you have to have equal to or greater of a quantity of magic in order to copy somebody. I feel like Lucy should be able to. Cana, the thing about Cana that is legit, it was already stated from Mavis that Cana has a lot of untapped potential. She's the daughter of Gildart, so it makes sense, perfectly logical in that aspect. But she's going to use the cards in order to trap people, but when she's using them, it's actually Lucy who gets trapped in there, and Kana's pretty much oh yeah, she gets up and she's like, anybody can use them, but there's a trick to do it. And it's real that Cana actually hasn't been controlled at all. She hasn't been controlled some, she's just been really drunk. And this opens up, for one, a theory that I had about Cana, because going into this, in this whole story, I was like, well, how are people, how are the side characters going to be relevant in which way? You have a dragon centered story, but how are you going to have characters Rogue and Stink show up? Laxus and Cobra as well. Godzilla is not in the picture, so it's well, how are you going to have them all? Well, we got Laxus and Godula over here. Well, who's next? And one thing that's noted, I just realized I don't have my music on. Let me turn my music on. I'm halfway through this, but let me turn it on. There we go. If you go back and look at the description of Selene, the moon dragon god, I assume Selene is a goddess, female because of the name. Both in Selene being a girl's name, but also it being based off of I think a goddess of the moon. I don't know which off the top of my head which mythology she's from, but with that is the way that it's described of how she draws powers from the moon, the stars, and the sun, pretty much, and that's how exactly fairy glitter works. So here I am wondering, well, is fairy glitter going to have so maybe if its origins explained of being somehow related to moon dragon magic? Is Cana going to somehow become a moon dragon slayer? Like, is she going to maybe be liked by Selene and maybe end up being taken under her wing or something? Maybe they end up winning her favor over because of Cana, I would guess. Again, I assume that Selene is female. Maybe it's a dude. Maybe Cana will seduce him instead. But the idea of Cana being relevant because of that, again, maybe somehow, I know a lot of people thinking like, oh, moon stuff, celestial stuff. Well, maybe it'll be Lucy. I think it'll be Cana because Cana already has an idea of how to use a magic that is described like the same way that that moon dragons like magic works. You're absorbing sun, star, moonlight into your body and using it for your attacks. Again, that's how it works. I also can't wait to see that design because I imagine it's gonna look beautiful. But in that, there's like the whole wonder of like, is she going to be? How is she going to be relevant in that case? Well, Cana now is sort of the only people that isn't mind controlled because they already have. Oh, what if even when we beat them, that doesn't undo the mind control, the alterations that the White Witch has done in them. So who knows? Like they could take people down and then have the rest of the guild just in card form the rest of this whole story for 100 Years quest until they deal with the White Witch. Who knows how long that could be? Whereas Cana can straight be with the main group now. Like she could come with them after this. She can hang out with them and go to help try and fight Alderaan. I don't really know what she would really do, but at the point next of seeing Selene, she'd probably have some value, something in there that she can really contribute. And I think an additional thing I've said before, it hurts to say, but out of everyone in the guild, anyone that have somebody was to die within 100 Years quest out of the Fairy Tail Guild, I think the person that would be the best fit is Guild Arts. And the reason is, I know you might hear it like, if you want Guild Arts tonight, Guild Arts is awesome and a badass. Here's the thing. It would help Cana. It would help Cana move as a character. It'd be really cool for Guild Arts to get that kind of, somehow get a, big final hurrah moment, get to be a badass one final time before ending. It would also give Cana a big way to evolve her character, to really step forward with her. It would also give her a weight because one, Laxus is not going to die. Laxus is the perfect candidate to become the next guild master. I know Makarov is still in that place, but he can't be in it forever. But on top of that, you can't have Makarov die because Makarov dying would be at this point, you'd just be like, well, when is he coming back? He's going to come back. Makarov doesn't die in battle. He'll die of old age, just at some point off panel. And really, I don't think you'd be able to get a cool badass ending way more than what was set up in the Alvarez arc and he got brought back. I still don't like that, but I agree with what Mishima's reasoning was for it, so whatever. Guild Arts, I think, would be the one that, if he got killed off, you could do more with the fact that he died. And again, it would also help Cana, who now is joining up the main cast, and finally going to be able to get to do something. She really hasn't done a whole lot throughout the series, and now she could finally get it. So there is that. I think it would be really a useful way to do it. Plus, with that, we can probably find out Guild Arts' backstory. Maybe find out, how he came to the guild, what it was like for him to grow up. Where did he learn his magic? Was he in a guild before Fairy Tail? There's some questions in there. And then the chapter ends getting back to Kyria and Laxus. And Kyria is, getting ready to fight Laxus. And she gets ready to use her hypnosis, tries to do that slash. She'll cut away his strength. And the way that Laxus describes it, because I'm like, oh, well, Laxus, he should be pretty much highly resistant to that kind of stuff. We already saw back in the Fighting Festival that mental attacks illusions and stuff, weird ocular abilities aren't really going to do much to him. He just has this seemingly resistance to it. But the way it's described is like she cuts away strength. She cuts away like your idea of strength in your head. Because she's not like, oh, I'm cutting the concept of strength from your being, like some weird like reality warping stuff. No, she's messing with your head, because it's not, oh yeah, I can cut like part of you off and then like abstract it. She's using hypnosis. We already know it's hypnosis. She's affecting your brain. And so like with Urza, like she cut off Urza's strength. That part of Urza's brain that knew that she was strong and capable was gone. Whereas with Laxus, with it, we know that like Laxus saying, oh, like, you know, I'm not strong. You know, I need I need friends and other people beside me in order to really be. I'm in a guild because I'm weak. And I thought that was really nice. And he's saying like, you can be weak in front of your friends, and it's okay to be weak, because like when you really look back at like early Laxus, like really you can just like go read Laxus in the beginning. Go read the sections he's in before the Fighting Festival, read his parts in the Fighting Festival, and then get to this. You know, really to see how much he's grown and how much he's, you know, evolved as a character, how much he's really stepped forward. I really liked how like him and Jalal both had very kind of like journeys of like wanting to redeem themselves, whereas like Laxus's was resolved a lot faster, but we get to see like, we got to see a lot more of it close to the guild, whereas Jalal's was more affected the guild, but way more personal to Urza, and he's still kind of reflecting on it and trying to fix himself. It's really cool that those aspects are kind of like you're seeing that a little bit of a similar kind of story in some aspects of just, you know, this character who, you know, realized the wrongs of their ways and wants to redeem themselves, whereas Jalal's still doing. Laxus is now kind of like learning what he used during all that in order to move forward, which I like. I like that, a different perspective from two different characters. But after he takes her out, you know, he uses his Roaring Thunder. And I always think, every time I ever think of him using this attack, I always think of the chapter title for Extreme Lightning. But I know it's Roaring Thunder. And, you know, he drops that big attack on her. And, you know, he puts her down. And the other part that I was, no, oh, really, this is the only part I was a little bit salty about. And it's not really important. It's not like oh man, this is a bad part to have in the chapter. Is Kyria, when she says like Laxus has like a weak heart, but he's like a very strong person. You know, he's a very powerful man, but he's, you know, very gentle in aspects. She says that she's now in love with him, which one, I could have sworn like when we saw Kyria fight Urza, she seemed to be like sword sexual, like she was physically and sexually turned on by swordsmanship. Like she would be like, she wouldn't discriminate towards guy or girl. It was purely swords play that put her on. Like, you know, Urza, yeah, put her in there, put in, I don't know, Mihawk, Ichigo, put someone in there, she'll probably be happy with him. But with Laxus, that just adds to his harem, because he's already got, you know, hints at Mira Jane, hints at Lizana. If the whole thing about drunken martial artist, drunken caster with Bacchus and Cana, I like that pairing a lot better than the possible Laxus and Cana. The one that I really wanted for Laxus was, it's not in the main story. If you've read the City Heroes side series, the little spin-off where they're, you know, the fairy tale guild's like a police group, is Hisui, you know, she's, you know, the princess, and she ends up coming to coming to Magnolia, and here's Laxus, who's like, you know, a police officer, ends up having to protect her for a while because he finds her when she like runs off to go pretend to be a civilian, and she ends up getting a thing for him. And I was like, could you imagine Laxus marrying the princess and becoming like the king of Fiore? That'd be so cool. I don't know. I like that idea, but I also really like the idea of Kyria, just this crazy ass chick, end up coming over to Laxus side, because I have to find the moment. I don't remember what chapter it was on, but there was a moment where Makarov says like he talks about how poor Yusuke is like, oh, you know, there was a prophecy about dragon slayers flocking to Fairy Tail, and you already have Natsu, Gajil, Wendy, you know, you can count Laxus, but you know, here's a reason why Kyria can switch. And Madmol doesn't come off as a bad guy, so if he switched to be one thing. So far now, my question is, how would Skullion come over? How would he possibly end up joining the guild? I want Wraith to somehow come back and be a member of the guild so bad. I really like that guy. I mean, he was fun for a short character, and I'm okay with if he never comes back, but I still want him to. Regardless of which, I like that little bit for Kyria. Maybe she'll switch sides and you know, come hang out in the guild, come be part with Laxus. But she doesn't need to switch sides, like full switch, because I still don't think that Diablos is a evil guild. I think it's purely just like, they have conflicting interests, and because of that, them and the Freytale Guild are beefing. Like, they haven't done anything that makes me think they're wicked and evil yet, because they're going after the dragon gods, who are, going just off of stories about them and their capability, are dangerous and bad. But like, she doesn't seem to be like, because she seems wild. She doesn't seem to be like, she seems like one of those characters. There, I've got. I was trying really hard to like mull around that, like what I was trying to say really quick, but she seems like one of those characters where if you put her in a series where she was a bad guy, it'd be like, oh, some character does something and she just like cuts him down like nothing. Like, I don't care about you. I just care about slashing stuff. But she is not that. You haven't seen her do anything really evil. I mean, really, the only thing that she's killed was a serpent that was going to eat her, and people who seem to be a threat to her. But she doesn't seem very evil at the moment. At the moment, that could easily change. I mean, they only go after dragons and dragon slayers. Maybe if like they start targeting random innocent civilians, that'll be proof that they're bad or what. But either way, comment below. Tell me your thought about the chapter. Tell me anything about the nicest of super drunk Cana. Lucy being smart, but also this new ship for Lactus and Curia. Sword Dragon and Lightning Dragon. It's so weird. But anyway, comment below. Tell me your thoughts. Like I said, and I really appreciate if you thumbs up the video, but from the like button and the subscribe button, and check out my other videos. For that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed. Thank you all for listening. Bye.